We can, everybody can learn together. I really want everybody. I really want every one of us to learn together at the same time. So thank you so much and welcome once again. So um, welcome from Tanzania. Welcome to everyone joining us from Lume. Thank you so much from Cameroon. The last class, like I said, we talked about the last workshop. We tried to look at how we can use Canva to create resources, and we did the drag and drop. Okay, so we saw ourselves trying to create like different images using Canva, and we try to see how we can put in different elements to create different scenarios, different situations. And we were looking at a particular storybook, which is very common, the tortoise and the hare. So that's the same thing we're going to be doing today. However, we're going to be doing slightly different. This time around, we're going to be looking majorly how to use just only AI tools to create those images, to create those pictures. How do we use AI to create a storybook? And the storybook is still the same storybook that we looked at last week with the tortoise and the hare. So we're going to be looking at how we can create the storybook yeah during the session. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce you to um, a book that I'm going to share. However, you have to. I'll tell you if you stay to the end of this YouTube of today's session. I'm going to tell you how you're going to get details to the prompts I'm going to be using today, just to help you understand. Now, the very first thing that you need to know is that the more detailed your prompt is, the more you are going to have a wonderful result. So you just need to ensure that you have detailed prompts, because the more detailed your prompt is, the more you're going to get an amazing result. So if you're just joining us, please let us know where you're joining us from. So can you put in the chat box where exactly you're joining us from? So a quick question to everyone. How many of us familiar with the tortoise and the hare story? So many of us are familiar with the tortoise and the hare story. The tortoise and the hare. How many of us are familiar with that story? So if you are, kindly put in the chat box or give a thumbs up saying that, okay, you're familiar with the story, the tortoise and the hare. How many of us are familiar with this story? Can you give a thumbs up? Good, thank you. So give a thumbs up if you can hear me. Thank you, Kojo. Kojo said it's familiar. Anybody else has an idea of what the tortoise and the hare story is about? Grace, you don't know the tortoise and the okay, yes. Thank you so much, Giwa. Anybody else that has an idea of what the tortoise and the hare story is about? Okay, so I believe it's a general folktale, African folktale. I know that we are from different countries, yeah, and this meeting, yes, this session. However, it's a story of the hare when it came to boast to the animal kingdom that is the fastest, that nobody can run more than, that is so fast, and it's going to, that they should organize a race and between he and the tortoise. Okay, so they started the race and it was running very fast, obviously, because it's very fast. And we know that the hare is obviously faster than the tortoise. Okay, so he was running, and he said, okay, let him just take a nap, let him just sleep, let him just, he just had this confidence that there was nothing that the hare was going to do, that there's nothing that the tortoise was going to do to really outrun him. Tortoise is very slow. We know how slow a tortoise can be. Okay, so the hare was so confident that there's no way that the tortoise was going to beat him in the race. He was so confident. He was just so confident. And guess what? He went to sleep, took a very long nap. And during that process, tortoise became very Tortoise took his time, went on the race, and he won the race. So that is the story we're trying to create now. So I have to just give a background to the story so that in case you've not had the story before, you can have an idea. You now have an idea of what story I'm trying to create today using AI. Okay, so thank you again, once again, everyone, for joining. So I'm going to be sharing this with us later on, and so I'm going to share my screen, Chrome tab. So this is a play guide. This is a prompt guide. It's from this particular book. I'm going to be sharing the prompts I'm going to use today, and it gives you an idea of all the prompts I'm going to use for the story today, and it also gives you a great idea into how you can create prompts, create first of all basic prompts, and now you can also create the prompt that that you need to use for today's for your images. Okay, so we went through. If you go to my LinkedIn page, you're going to see an article. I created a newsletter on this, and if you want to have access to this playbook, I'm also going to encourage you to follow me on LinkedIn because I'm going to be sharing this with every of my LinkedIn family, okay? So that you can have access to, you can have an idea of how to create detailed prompts as educators. Remember, you're not meant to, of course, we can go technical because that is really what we want to do at the end of the day. We want to be the best, want to be excellent at what we are doing. However, as educators, you just need to really understand, get at the back of your mind that you are an educator, which means that there is a lot of potentials that you can do when it comes to prompting because you teach English language, okay? You have adjectives, you know the nouns, you know the verbs, you know how to describe, the describing words and all that. So this is something that you just need basic things you need to be able to start prompting. Then, secondly, you also need to know that the AI tool like ChatGPT, Claude AI, Perplexity, especially ChatGPT or Gemini AI, they are there to also help you. Kindly give a thumbs up if you can see my screen. I'm sharing a Google Doc that has the educator's playbook prompts. So give a thumbs up if you can see the screen. That is what you can see on your screen. Kindly give a thumbs up. Okay. Thank you so much. Well done. Okay. So at this point, you need to understand that you don't even need to create these prompts yourself. Although I really advise that you do because I must say that doing trying to create prompts or trying to look for ways to describe prompts can help you to even your English language vocabulary and so much more. Okay. So but you don't need to even start from the scratch. You can actually create an idea, create a basic prompt. And that is something I explained here. The basic prompt needs to have some important elements. And the elements are 7 elements. Okay. They need to have the story type, they need to have the target audience. What are you looking at? What are you creating the story for? You need to have the main characters. They need to also have the settings. Where is the story taking place? Where is it happening exactly? You need to have the plots or the problems because it's there should be a challenge in the story. That is the way storytelling is. You go this way, then something just happens in the middle that shifts the story, then brings it back to the original state or to the objective of what you're trying to drive at the end of the story. So it needs to have that. It needs to have like a lesson. What is the format? I do want it to be so these are things that you need to really look at. What kind of how many pages are you looking, how many scenes, how many characters. So these are things that just make up, first of all, the basic prompt. Now with that basic prompt, you can now create something bigger. But this is the very first step that you need to take. Okay, so I'm going to a lot of people are reaching out and asking questions about how to join. So you need to, if you know anybody that wants to join, there's asking you questions about how to join. You need to register. I said that from the beginning, because once you register, it gives you access to the link, and once you get the link, you can join. Okay, so I'm just trying to. Okay, yeah. Okay, so thank you, and let's move on. So right now, after doing this, the next step we're going to take now is to create images for this story. So the very first thing I've done is to create the story itself, and I created that story last week here on Canva. So we're going to take a look at what that story looks like. Now, for that story, we're going to create an image for the scene, for every scene of that story. So I'm going to show you what the story looks like, what we created together here on Canva. And then we are going to move on to creating different scenarios, different scenes, different pictures for every scene. Okay, so I'm going to do that quickly. Kindly give me some so I can retrieve the story and share with everyone here. Okay, yeah, so we have this. So this is an idea of the story that we created last week. Okay, we created the story using this prompt. So I'm going to paste in the prompt quickly on the in the chat box. So in case you want to try it in your free time, you can try that. So this is the prompt that was done, and this is the outcome of the prompt. So what I did was I put this prompt into ChatGPT. I'm sorry, I put this prompt into Canva AI, and we did it together. For those that were around last week, that joined last week's Wednesday Workshop Café, you see that we created the story together year on year during the live conference, during the video conference. So you can see that we were able to create the different scenes. So what should scene one be? What should scene two be? And my target at this point, 6 years to 8 years. You can see that in my basic prompt that I'm creating this for 6 years to 8 years old. And that was why I had to just limit it to about four scenes. Although at the end of the day, we are going to be creating like up to six scenes eventually. But this is just a basic idea of this is the story itself. Now we're going to be looking at today. We're looking at how to create different scenarios, different images for every scene. That's what we're going to look at now. And we're not going to be using Canva. We're not going to use Canva AI. You can use Canva AI, but I'm not going to use Canva AI today. Okay, I'm going to use Canva to design the book itself. But you are going to be using ChatGPT to create those images. How do we create the images for every scene? Remember the storyline. We're talking about the tortoise and the hare. I've said the story at the beginning of this session. The the hare came up very proud. I can run better than every animal. And the tortoise said, okay, let's do this. Okay. They started the race. The hare was so fast and was way ahead of the tortoise and said, okay, do you know what? Let me just take a nap. Let me just sleep. And he goes to sleep. The tortoise was so persistent, going on his own, and eventually won the race because the hare was so confident, slept off, and lost track of time and all that. So we're trying to create this into a story to teach the moral of being persistent, consistent, and also to avoid not to be proud, just to discourage discourage pride among kids. Okay, so I've done the first step is I put this prompt that is now in the chat box. I put it on Canva AI to create the story for me. Now the next step is I'm going to be using ChatGPT to create the image for every scene. Okay, just the way you see it in your storybooks. So right now you don't need to think about how am I going to draw the tortoise? Am I going to draw the hare? Am I going to draw a giraffe? Am I going to draw a lion? Am I going to draw an elephant? No, with just a prompt, you can design, you can create that background yourself. So let's go on. So the next thing I'm doing is Chat GPT. That's what we're going to use today. We're going to use Chat GPT, and we're using the paid version of Chat GPT. So the reason is because when you want to create images on Chat GPT, if you input one prompt on the basic version, you are just going to be able to create one image per day or two images. You just have limited things that you can do. You can't really create multiple images. However, you can also try to use tools like Gemini AI. You can also use tools like Microsoft Copilot to see if you can create more than one image. Then apart from that, you can use Lumen AI. You can also use PicArt. You can use, there are different free versions right now that you can use to be able to create this, take it from text to image. But for today, we're going to be focusing on ChatGPT. Then remember that you can also create your images on Canva AI, on Canva AI. But just for the sake of today's video, we're going to be looking at ChatGPT. Then we're going to create the final story on Canva itself, not Canva AI. So let us just go. So the very first thing is when the hare came out to challenge the tortoise and talk to the animals and say, "Oh, I'm the fastest I can run," and all that. So that is what you're going to work with. That's the very first thing. So what I'm going to do now is to we already have a basic prompt. You can see the basic prompt there, and which is what I shared on the sorry in the chat box. The next thing that you want to do is because you want to ensure that you're having consistent character, because that is where the issue comes whenever you're creating images with AI, is having that consistency. So most times you end up having maybe, for instance, the tortoise in the first image is a big one, the tortoise in the second image is going to be a small one. The hair in the first one is going to be very with large hairs. So that one we have like 3 years. So you just have a lot of inconsistency. Okay. So what is the trick to you getting that consistent character? So we have what we call the master script. So once you're creating any image, you need to create what we call the master script. So that master script is going to be what you're going to be pasting in every other scene. Okay. So my master script for this is the tortoise and the hare. I've created the story already. So I want to create the master script now from my basic prompt. So the master script is me trying to now break it down and trying to look for how to put this in every scene. So the first thing I do is to get the master script. So let's look at the master script now. Okay. That we call the master prompt. So this is my master prompt. I'm going to put that in the chat box so that you can see, so you can try it. Okay. If you want to. Okay. It's taking a while. Give me some seconds trying to copy. Okay, so interestingly, I don't know if it's the network. I can't copy that at this time, so I think I'll just share this slide. Okay, so now you can see that my master prompt is this. This is from the basic prompt, the one I pasted in the chat box earlier. So what you can do is you can take that basic prompt and put into ChatGPT and say, well, I want to create a story of the tortoise and the hare. I want to create different things. I need to maintain character, consistent character. There should be consistency in the image, in the pictures that are being created and all. So what I really want is I want to create a master prompt. Okay, so this is going to be your master's prompt or your master script. Now, when it comes to tech tools, like for instance, PowerPoint, there's what we call the master slide. So when it comes to master slide, you can't really like the major slide. You can't really make so much changes to that slide. So it's just like the slide that controls every other slide. So if, for instance, if you're trying to create um, a PowerPoint slides, maybe for a webinar, and you want to maintain your logo on every other slide. So if you have a logo, if you have a particular picture, or you have a particular template or design you want to maintain for every other slide, what you're going to do is you're going to create that template, put in that logo on the master slide. So that is going to now is going to automatically show or appear in every other slide that you've created. So that way you don't need to start trying to paste in that's your template or pasting your logo for every slide. So that's what we call the master slide. So now for prompting, we have the master prompts. When you're trying to create images, you have your master prompts. That prompt, you are not going to change it. It's just the way it is. Now for every scene, you're going to paste your master prompt and the prompt for that scene. So when that happens, it ensures that there is no irregularities in the character. There's no irregularities in the consistency of whatever you want to create. So that is why you need to know that that is a trick. You create your master prompt. So this is a master prompt for the tortoise and the hare that I created. You can create yours whenever if you want to practice later, and I'm really going to encourage everyone to practice. Please, please practice. Please practice. I'm going to encourage everybody. You need to practice, okay? So if you want to practice, you can first of all create a master prompt. And after the master prompt, you will now ensure that you're creating different scenes together in your prompts. Okay, so let's have this prompt. I'm trying to copy and paste this, but interestingly, it's not pasting on the Zoom app. I don't know why. So let me try it again. It's still the same issue. Okay. So let's just go straight to ChatGPT. Okay. So remember that my master prompt, and after that prompt, every other prompt comes. So I'm going to go now to ChatGPT. Remember, we're using the paid version of ChatGPT for this particular task. So I have this. This is my ChatGPT app, and we're going to do Control V. Yeah, I was trying to achieve this. So this is my master prompt. Let's see what this master prompt creates. So I have this. Now, if you have any questions while this is trying to generate the image for us, if you have any questions at all, kindly put your questions in the chat box. Let me know. If you have any questions, you have something that you feel you don't really understand, or you have a particular step that you want me to repeat, kindly put your questions now in the chat box. So if you can still see my screen, you're following, you understand what I'm saying, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Put a thumbs up, everyone. If you can still see my screen and you understand what we're doing, you understand what level we are in at this point, I want a thumbs up from anyone, from everyone. Thank you. Good. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that, Lillian, that you understand what you're doing. Okay, good. Awesome. Okay, so right now we have our image. Yeah, so we can see that it has created the image for everything because based on my prompts, I said the forest settings that contains this, lush green vegetation that contains this, such grasses and all that. So let us now move into creating for every prompt, for every scene. Okay. Just I want to just get an idea of what each thing is about, and that is what I have. Kindly mute as you join so that you're not distracting everyone else. Yeah, I think for now ChatGPT is approximately $20, I guess. Yeah. But like I said, you can also explore other apps. You don't need to use the paid version. Then also you can also create maybe your images part time. And there are some things that some educators do. They come together and they buy the ChatGPT and they use it. They co-use it together. Um, they co-use it just to save costs and to ensure that everybody has access to a paid version. It's something that can be explored too. So if you have colleagues, you have friends that are willing to, you know, they are willing to go that route, makes a lot of sense. It's really helpful. Yeah, especially for image generation. It's something that you may really want to try. Okay, so we have this and so right now, I'm going to be generating each prompt. Like I said, formula is master prompt plus the scene instruction. So we have it here. Master prompt plus the scene instruction. So you have the master prompt already. Then you're now going to have the scene instruction. So remember, I've already created the master prompt. The master prompt is that prompt that has that has the major thing that you're looking out for. Then once you've created the master prompt, the next thing you need to do is to create the scene instruction. What do you really want from um what do you really want in that scene? Okay, so once I do that, I paste my master prompt. Then I have scene one. So I have prompt for scene one. So you can see that I already have this is my prompt for scene one. So I'm just gonna copy that. I'm gonna paste it here. So once we do that, we click on enter and let's see the generation. Okay, so that will take a while. And while that is creating, you can also go ahead and create other things just to really save your time. It's just that sometimes it's just best to wait for it to generate everything at once. So that in case to generate before you move on. So why? So that in case you want to change anything, you want it to change something, you can just prompt it. So for instance, we have this. You may say, "Oh, I want a prompt. I want to change something." So it depends on you. Do you want the hair to be taller? Do you want it to be shorter? Do you feel it's okay this way? Do you want more animals? So these are things that you may want to look at, and you can just prompt it. So for instance, if I say, make the hair a bit taller. But I think hairs are really small. But let's just try. I'm just trying to make sure, just to let you know that you can always change the image. So you can wait for it to generate one image at a time, so that way you are able to see, okay, I want to make this change, I want to remove this, I want to add this. You want to maybe you may want to revisit your prompt so that you can create something better. So it just really depends on you, okay? But remember, like I said, the very first thing you're doing is you're creating your master prompt. And the next thing you're doing is that you're also so you can see what, what happened at this time. It has made it taller. Okay. Now let's move on. And master prompt is a formula now, mathematics. So yeah. So if you had been running away from maths, since now you have to do the maths at this time. So master prompt plus the master prompt plus the other prompts. That is the prompt for the scene. So we have that for scene two. So I'm just going to do a control V because I already have that sorted. So I have my scene two prompt and I just click on enter. So let's see what it creates for us. Okay, so while we wait for that to also keep creating. We're going to look at prompts from first century. So I'm just going to do that quickly. Okay, so I move on to my century prompts. Okay, so you're going to give it time, remember, because it's trying to generate images, but it's kind of faster than when you just, so you can see that. Okay, you can see the prompts, the third prompt. Let's move on to the fourth one. That's the scene four. Okay, so while that prepares itself, we can slightly move on to the prompt for the scene five, the fifth scene. So you just remember that it's a master prompt plus the prompts for that scene. Okay, and you can always do everything on Canva. You don't need to, sorry, you can use AI to generate everything for you. You don't need to start looking at trying to think of the English you want to use or the grammar you want to use or the adjectives. You can always just use AI to do everything from start to finish. Okay, good. So right now we've already created the images for every scene. Okay, and now we want to put this together to create a story. We want to create a story. So what you need to do first of all is that you need to ensure that you are going to download the pictures. Now, I want, if you are following me and you are on track, I want you to type yes in the chat box. I want you to type following. I want you to type yes, I understand, on point in the chat box before we move on. So I want you to type yes. Okay, good. Thank you, Grace. More yeses so we can move on. Thank you, Irene. Thank you. Oh, just two people. If you're following, if you understand how we are doing, how we've gotten up to now. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, good. Awesome. Yes, awesome. Good. Yeah, definitely. You need the tools. You have ChatGPT, you have Canva. So those are the two tools that you need. Okay. And you just follow the step and you're good to go. Now, the next thing I want to do at this point is I would want to create a story with us. So the first thing I need to do is to download my images. So I'll just go, yeah, you can download everything at once. What I think I'm just going to go from the beginning. So I'm going to do this, then save. Now Canva, oh sorry, ChatGPT also has another interesting feature which is you can select an area you can actually erase something. So let's just imagine that I want to erase the maybe this animal. So can just do that and you can actually erase it. So you're able to highlight, you're able to select, you're able to do anything that you want to do on the pictures that you've already created. Okay, so the next thing I would also want to do is to download all the pictures that I have. So I'm coming, kindly give me. So it's going to ask you to describe edit. So let's just say, for instance, remove, okay, make, just remove it from the picture. Let's see. So once I do that, it automatically removes it, but that's not really what I want to do at this point. Okay, so let's move on. We're going to see that quickly, but let us try to go through the images and be sure that's what we want. So I come here and save. Okay, so you have all your pictures, they'll be outlined there. So you can just over on every one of them and you can just save them as you go. We have this, save, okay, and I think we are, yeah, so yeah, good. So save this and finally save this. Good. Now I'm going to head over to Canva. Remember, we want to create a storybook. So I'm going to use the storybook here on Canva. This is what we have. So the very first thing we want to do is to look at what I want to create. I'm going to use the presentation style to create this. So I have presentation. What you can also do is that you may not even want to start from the scratch. It's just me that likes doing my things from the scratch, but you may not want to. If you don't want to start from the scratch, what you just need to do is just go straight to templates. So we have templates and you can just search for storybook. Now you can see different storybooks. You just click on it and you make your changes and you're good to go. Okay, but for the purpose of today's session, I'm going to be starting from the scratch. But remember, I said that you don't need to start from the scratch. So I go straight to my untitled, which is presentation. I'm using presentation format. That is because I mount it for YouTube, kind for a storybook, and then as PDF. It just works for different kind of scenarios. Okay, so once I go there, once I go to this point, I'm going to go to upload. Okay, because I want to upload my files, and I go to upload files, and I'm going to upload all the pictures that I downloaded today. So I'm going to open that. And we have all the pictures. So also remember that I have also created this. I also have the story, okay? The text from the story. So that is not going to take any more time. I'm just going to copy and paste. I'm going to copy the narration, okay, from this text into my pictures. So the very first thing I may want to do is, first of all, I'm going to leave this one for my cover. I'll come back to it later. And I may just start imputing my stories. So remember, the very first thing is the hair comes to challenge the, so this is it. Two ways you can use it. You can either fill the background or You just click on it and you say set image as background. So you can see automatically just make sure that the image fits the page itself. So once you've done that, I want to go back to my, I want to go back here and I'm going to, oh, sorry, I was sharing the wrong tab. Okay, so I have this at this point. So I'm going to go back to my story and I'm going to copy the narration. So I'm going to copy this. Once upon a time in a forest, I'm going to go back to my, and I'm going to share this tab. So I'm going to choose text, add a subheading, and do a control V. Of course, you can see that, I can't see this. You're wondering, how do I do this now? Okay, so two ways. What I'm going to do, or what I do, what I'm going to show you. So at this point, I am going to impute the shape. I'm going to impute a rectangle. I'm going to change this to black. Okay, so after changing it to black, the next thing I'm going to reach, click on transparency. I'm going to reduce the transparency, reduce it to a minimum, but still in a way that it can still show. So once I've done that, I'm going to bring this down, but Control A and change it to white. So at this point, you can see that it's better. You can also still increase the transparency if you want to. Okay, so once you do this, you can see that automatically it's, you can also even, so if you want to, you can also do it this way if you feel that is better for you. Okay, so that you're having an even tone. But at this point, you can see both the tortoise, you can see the air, and you can also see the text at the same time. Go to the next one, impute the picture. So let's say they start the, at this point. So I'm going to set my image as background, remember, so that it automatically takes all the space. So at this point, I can just copy the square that I did, what I did before, so that I can have it here. So it just depends on you. But if you feel, oh, I don't want that, you can just totally remove it and do something else. So once I've done that, I'm going to bring in my text. Another way you can go about this is to maybe create an effect. So you can go to effect and you can choose background. Maybe you choose yellow. So let's see how it's gonna be if it's yellow. So no, 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 no. Let's see gray. Oh, no, 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 no. Okay, so let's see yellow though. Okay, but you can see that this is not really cool. So I'm just gonna remove. I don't like it. Okay, so I just click and I remove, or I say no effects. It's removes the effect automatically. I just increase the transparency. I can do the same for everything. Just do the same thing, and we are good to go. So you just continue the way. The third image, or the third one. What do we have? Yeah, I think we have Ray went to sleep. Set image as background. Do a Control V. Okay, that's my text. I also want to bring this, so I do a Control C and bring a Control V, is Control that space, so as to have this. Now, at this point, you can see that this is covering the text. So I'm just going to click on position so that I can take it to the backward, okay, behind the text. Okay, so you just continue this way. You can just continue this way for everything. So let's just imagine I go back to my text, my narration, and yeah, Control C, Control V. You can also change your font if you feel like, oh, I don't want this font. Maybe depending on the child that you're teaching or the children you're working with, you may want to change your font. Um, just with Control C, then you bring it to Control V. Yeah. So if you want to change your font, what you need to do is you need to go to fonts and you do recommended fonts. Sometimes a lot of people use Comic Sans because it's more of childlike. So if I do a control A is control all, then you change it to Comic Sans. So this is how Comic Sans look like. It's people use it because it's more of a child friendly font. So it's something that you may want to try. Okay, so the next thing is to just watch me as I finish the story design so that we can move on to the cover of the story. So I think at this point, the next one is the tortoise walking on its own, being very resilient. So we have set image as background. I want to bring the okay. Okay, so you can see this. The last one. This is the ending. Yeah. So here we go. Finalement. Uh, okay, so while we're doing this, yeah, so finally we have this. Grammarly is saying I should do realize. Okay, good. So finally we have this, and I want to just go straight to my cover page. So my cover page, I may want to choose maybe one of the story and just use that as my cover page. So I can say the tortoise and the hair. So that is actually the story. Control Z. I'm gonna write the title. So I have the tortoise and the hair. So we can change this font. For titles, we may not want to use this Comic Sans. We want to use something else that is quite bold. Okay, that will give you what you want. So if I go here and I click on the text, go to font, look for a font that I think is going to do the job for me. So I'm looking for, so I can use Fridoka. Fridoka is more of a childlike font. The Lolita one also works for children too. Um, but it depends on who you're creating your design for. Okay, so you can remember that we're not just limiting this to to kids. You can use this for even adults, second language learners. You can also use this to be able to make sure that they are having fun learning the language. And you can see that Canva has loads of fonts, like lots of fonts that you can choose from. You just play around with it and choose the one that works for you. Just play around. Remember, you don't have to create something perfect from the beginning, because that is where a lot of us want to do something perfect, something very perfect from. But you don't need to start that from the beginning. You can just make sure you're creating something and you're using it in the classroom. Okay, so once we have this, I think I'm going to reduce fonts. So I think I can just have this. Looking at doing the image thing, and I want to use let's see, yellow or custard yellow. Let's see. Okay, so let's imagine I do this. Let's just imagine I do this. Then we have black as the text itself. Okay, so I can even try to increase the letter spacing. If that works. Okay, so I have something on the hair by my humble self, by me, by Light. So I can say by Light Chime. It's just good to have your name on something, right? So you can use this and you're a proud hatter. Okay, you can just play around with it. It's just me playing around with this. So you can just do this and you're good to go. You don't need something big. You're good to go. You already have your storybook. And when you want to download this, you download it as PDF. Okay, so I'm going to change the title first of all to Tortoise and the Air. So I'm going to download to PDF. So I download. Another way I may want to do this is to use the issue app. So we call it issue. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's a very good app. I used it recently to create a story. It was very awesome to see. So it converts it into a flip book. Okay. So you may want to do that. So the first thing you need to do is to connect it. So once you have Canva, you can automatically connect to, yeah. So can do a rejector, can do a Google, can do this and continue. So then ask you to connect. So once you connect, you are free to explore. So I'm just going to show you how you can turn it into a flip book. So I need to plug the battery quickly. Okay, so I'm really coming to an end at this point, and just for you to let me know what you think. Is this something that works for you? Can you create a storybook now using what you've learned today? Is this something that you think you can do? Is it something that you're willing? So many of us are going to try to even create something for yourself, maybe for next week or over the weekend. How many of us are going to try to create something? Thank you. Yeah, so issue is already on the app. Okay, you go to apps. I think my network is misbehaving today. Oh yeah, good. I'm good. I'm happy to hear this. Irene Joy. Okay, so issue is already on the app. You just go to the app and you search for this. Then you click on connect. It's taking time. I'm surprised myself. It does not take this long. So I don't know what is happening. So I may have to wait, but it helps you to make it convert it into a flip book. That's what it does. So apart from issue, there are other things, there are other ones, but I think I've used issue before. That's why I'm so confident, and I wanted to just show. Okay, let's see if it's going to export first of all. Okay, let's see export first. Let's see if this will not take time. But if it does, then obviously it's my network. Yeah, it is. Okay, export draft. Export. Okay, so apologies for this. Definitely my network is playing on me today, or there's something wrong with the issue account. But once you click on this, this is just the surest way. You just click on it and you are able to convert it directly to PDF. So yeah, so the room is open. Questions, anybody? Do you have questions? Do you have things that you want to share? Or do you have things that you don't understand based on the steps that we've done together and you feel like I don't understand this kind of you have questions relating to that? The floor is open at this point. And this is just to encourage everyone, if you are yet to join the community, the tech community for educators, I'm going to encourage you to join. I'm dropping the link on the chat box. Thank you so much, Irene. I'm so happy that you can use it. That was the idea. I don't know. Let me sound more Nigerian now. That is the idea behind this. So that everybody can use it. And it's actually so good to see that everyone can, that we can use it. I mean, that is a major objective. Just to really show you that it is possible, it is doable, and you don't need to have all the tools in the world before you can actually use it. So you can actually use it. Everyone can do it. And I want people to do it, start doing it from this week. Start trying to create something for yourself, create a storybook for your class. It doesn't have to be four scenes, it can be two scenes, it can be one scene where you can actually create text to image story in your class. Okay,
Hello, 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 Light.
yes, hello,
Yeah,
Alien.
yeah,
Uh,
Ile.
Hilaire,
Great.
Hilaire,
Uh,
merci
mm,
Dorian, s'il vous plaît.
well done, kiddos. It is really inspiring. I was mentioning the tools, not the tools themselves, but rather the mastery of the tools. But I think, as they say, practice makes perfect.
Yeah,
When yeah,
practice make perfect. Practice make perfect. That is one
when
thing
we
that
are
we should do.
engaged, I think it will be really helpful for us to grow professionally. Thanks for sharing your experiences.
Thank you
So
so
yeah,
much. Is a pleasure. And thank you so much for joining and for being part of this. You've always been part of this from the beginning. And thank you so much for that enthusiasm that you always
oh,
show to
thank you.
be able to learn. And let me tell you something, like I said, you just need to start, okay? Start with one thing. Just get over that. Start with one, create one image, use it in your class, and project the image if you can. If you don't have maybe a projector, you can. If you have a laptop, you can. If you have a phone, just say, okay, describe this image, but the image was generated with AI, okay? And this is the prompt I used to generate. It just makes you a proud teacher that, okay, you've learned something from today's um, session. But thank you so much, Hilaire. Okay. Yeah. So questions. Let's see. So it's changing. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Yeah, but I think I recorded the session. Kindly follow me on LinkedIn. Like I said, if you want to get access to the prompt, I share newsletters every. I try to share it every week. I have a lot on my table, but I'm just trying my best. So I try to share it every week, and this is always talking about tech tools you can use in your classrooms and how you can use them. So very soon, I'm going to finish putting this together on Notion. That is also another thing I'm going to do a workshop on. Notion. Sincerely, there's a lot going on in the Notion space that we are sleeping on as educators. I was able to connect my Claude AI to my Notion, and I did not. I just use a prompt. That's all I can say. I just use a prompt, and it helped me automatically arrange that text, that particular story organized it by chapter on Notion. So I'll be sharing the gist. If you are just join the community so that you not lose out of this gist. And not only join, I'm also encouraging you share to your friends. Okay, tell your friends to join the community, to join a particular community that is a tech community for educators. It's strictly tech, everything technology. That is what we talk about on that community. So tell them to join so that things like this we are able to learn. You don't have to really pay a lot of dollars for these things. I'm using the free Notion, and I use the free Cloud AI, and I did that. So it's something that everybody can do. So I'll be sharing that maybe in my next workshop, but let's just see how it goes. I'm still looking for questions. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm so happy that you can practice, that you really want to practice hiring. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sophia. Kadunti, Sophia. Sophia, please, what country is that? Because I'm so sure SOFIA is not the proper English. Just let me know what country you're joining us from. Dominic, yes, there is we're streaming this right now live from YouTube, so I'll be sharing the link on the community so you can join the WhatsApp group if you're not there yet. Joy, yeah, so if you want to see the, you should just go to apps. So let me just quickly show you that before I round off. Sorry. So we're already way behind schedule. I'm so happy that I was able to do this, and thank you so much everyone for joining and being part of this. So I try as much as possible to stick to an hour. But I don't know. Sometimes we don't always get it. But I'm just happy that everybody's able to learn. Okay, so this is it. You just go to this part, you click on apps, okay? And you can click on discover. You can click on, so under my apps I have a lot of apps I've used over time, okay? But you just click on discover and you click on issue, type issue, okay? It's a flip book. I think I will try to see, get what the issue is. If I rectify it, it's something I can do a workshop on. So yeah, eventually. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I hope there are no more questions. Let me check. Let me check. Um, Thank you, Sophia. Thank you, Chinwe. Thank you. Yes, it's an app. Yeah, it's an app, Shakira. Oh, Uganda. Thank you so much, Sophia, for joining. Thank you for joining from Uganda because I know that it's around 11 p.m. at this time. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you. I'm really grateful. Thanks. Okay. Next week, Wednesday, Joachim. Next week, Lillian. Yeah. We try to do this every Wednesday. Children Reading Club. Yes. Perfect. This is a perfect idea for your children reading club. Yes, this is a perfect one. Okay. Exactly on Canva should I think I've showed you. I've done that already, Joy. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. And it's so glad, I'm so happy that we're able to do this. And I'm going to encourage you to please keep trying, keep learning, keep growing, keep being a better educator. Don't sleep on this. Don't sleep on digital skills. Don't sleep on it, please. Let me use English and Nigerian language. It gets why. It gets why, oh, okay? It gets why. So don't sleep on it at all, please. Put in your best. Do it. Everything you learn, try to practice. Try to practice it. Is so important. Try to practice everything that you learn as you do this. And the very first step, use Canva. I use Canva a lot. I talk about it a lot. That's why I talk about it a lot because I use it a lot. So I'm going to encourage you use Canva. Then